Welcome friends. Today we are going to do a sweet potato mash, sweet potato puree. I'm going to put a little bit of a twist on it. I'm going to do a twist on a recipe that we did on the channel back, I don't know, 2010, 2011, something like that. I'll link to it. Which is a sweet potato mash with maple. And today I'm just going to add a little bit of whiskey to it as well. So start off, I just put a few holes in the outside of the sweet potato to let the steam escape. And then I stick these in the oven to bake them. Some people wrap them before they put them in the oven to bake them, wrap them in tin foil. I personally don't think that's necessary. I just slam them in the oven. So we'll wait for those to cook and then we'll move on. While these potatoes are cooling down a little bit, I'm going to prep the rest of the ingredients, and that is why I've got this little pan out. Now you could just throw everything into the food processor and whiz it all together, but I find the flavors come together better if you melt the butter in this little pan and then add all of the other flavoring agents to it. Now you don't want to boil it, you don't want to make it really hot, you just want to kind of bring it up to temperature, melt the butter, and simmer all of those flavors together. So, butter, salt, pepper, maple syrup. And I'm sure you've heard me say this before, this super dark late harvest maple syrup is perfect for cooking. Has a really nice, deep, rich flavor. So we put that in as well. It's wonderful. It really is wonderful. And a little bit of nutmeg. I love nutmeg. One of the problems you can have with this dish, though, is depending on what you choose for spicing, you can very quickly kind of take it into sweet potato pie or pumpkin pie territory, which isn't really what I'm going for here today. But if that's where you want to go, you could just full on put pumpkin pie spice in here. I mean, it really works well. Next up is some whiskey. I'm going to say that 25-year-old might be too much. Rye is really nice if you like that kind of spicy flavor. This, though, the 15 has a really nice buttery flavor. Let's use that. Now, of course, you could use any whiskey that you like. You don't really want to put too much in. You don't want to overpower the dish. I'm just going to put in maybe 2 tablespoons. And you could use bourbon, you could use Scotch whiskey, Canadian whiskey, rye, whatever you wanted, whatever flavor profile you like. I mean, you could put rum in here, you could put brandy or cognac. It's just to kind of get that flavor. And I hear you. If you're going to be serving this at a family dinner, you might not want to give this to children. But the reality is this process will drive off most of the alcohol and just leave you with the flavor. And even so, 2 tablespoons of whiskey divided between 10 people really isn't going to get anyone drunk. So while that's melting, we'll peel the sweet potatoes. And a bit of a funny story about sweet potatoes. In most of the United States, these are sold as yams. And they're not yams at all. Watch the video, I'll link to it somewhere, where we sat down with Chef D and he told us what the difference between a sweet potato and a yam actually was. Okay, so those are good and mashed together. And of course, you could just do it with a potato masher. You could put these through a ricer if you wanted to. Whatever floats your boat. Pour this in and we'll just mix it all together. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Now you could You could sprinkle a little chive or parsley on top of these when you put them onto your plate. But I like them just like this. So I'm going to serve these with some pork chops tonight for dinner. So we'll see what Julie says when she gets home.
Aha! My timing is perfect. Of course.
Pork chops aren't ready yet.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess they're a little hot yet.
I'm going to let them rest. But if you want to try the sweet potatoes, go right ahead.
Okay. Just a couple of...
So these are whipped sweet potatoes.
Okay. I don't think I've ever had whipped sweet potatoes. There's a lot of different flavors in there.
Yeah.
I'm fond of the whiskey,
Yes. So there's,
Scotch, bourbon, whatever it is. I'm fond of that flavor in there.
and it could be whiskey, Scotch, or bourbon. But it is. I used Scotch, and there's butter
Okay.
and nutmeg, and maple syrup. Is that what I put in? And
Maple syrup.
everybody will know because they've already seen it. Yeah, so it's a riff on something that we did 2010, 2011. I'll link to it here somewhere. But you could serve this just the way it is.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Although I know, mostly from television, that you could put this in a casserole dish and you could put marshmallows on top and you could roast the marshmallows, flame the marshmallows to get that casserole type feel.
I think the marshmallows would take away from the whiskey,
It might.
the
It might.
sharp of the whiskey, which
Yeah.
I really like.
But I know, I mean, it's not a thing here in Canada, but I know how many people in the
so
United States
Putting the marshmallows on it.
love the marshmallows on it. My cousins.
Although, I mean, your one cousin did make it one year. It was quite
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
quite good, but I think I really do think it would take away from.
So you serve these at the adult table, although no one's going to get drunk from them because there's not that much
Well,
whiskey.
and it's already cooked off.
But let's move on because I think
Are
these
they
are
ready?
ready.
Okay. In that
So
case, I'll
come
get
on
some-
back for the pork chop recipe.
In that case, I will get some forks.